Welcome back to Post Hunt Clarity, episode 31. And tonight's topic or discussion is going to be a little bit different than a lot of what our podcasts have been, especially recently. We're going to talk about exactly what Post Hunt Clarity is and what Gabe and I have been working on for the last 8 months and how we got to where we're at now.
It's been a wild ride. We've started this thing and we were like talking about deer stuff, talking about like things that we hate in the industry. And then lately we've been interviewing some really cool guests. So if you guys haven't, make sure you check out the last 3 or 4 podcasts that we've done. We've had some cool guests on and we got to ask them some really interesting questions that they really don't get asked on podcasts. I mean, some is the usual go around, but we definitely got to know our friends a little bit better.
Yeah. So if you've followed our podcast recently or follow us on social media, you've probably seen like our social media posts have looked a little different than they had in the past. Our podcasts have dropped kind of some sneak peeks at this new brand of Post Hunt Clarity and something Gabe and I have built. So I think where we want to start for the evening is we want to go back to kind of how Post Hunt Clarity, the podcast, initially started, and then talk about what we've spent building the last 8 months. So flashback to October of 2023, I think.
23 or 24, I honestly don't remember.
23.
Probably 23. Yeah, because it was the October you shot your 10-pointer.
Yeah. So I guess I can kind of start this story time, Gabe.
Yeah.
Gabe and I became friends in 22, like August-ish, maybe late July, but really didn't start hanging out until the end of that fall, like kind of the end of bow season.
Yeah, I think I got invited to go to the bar once or twice. And that was kind of how we started. We played pool one night.
I think we chatted a couple times. You needed help with a photo shoot for your day gig at the time. And then we started hanging out. I shot a deer and I wanted your opinion on it. And then we ended up going to the bar, I think, after that, or not long after that. And so over the next 10 months, we became really good friends. And so October of 2023, Gabe and I had a deer camp weekend planned with each other and our significant others. So we were going to go out to my hunting cabin. Gabe had been hunting some public land around that area anyways. We were going to have just like a fun long weekend, play cards, hunt, stay in the cabin, drink, do whatever. And first morning of the weekend, Gabe hadn't even got to camp yet. I shot a buck. And it was I think that day was it the 13th or 14th that I actually shot him?
I'm pretty sure it was the 13th because I had went back. It was like a mile and a half furthest spot I could go hunt. And you kill that deer like an hour into the morning. You call me and you're like, dude, you got to get over here. I just killed this deer. I'm like, awesome. Except for it took me an hour and a half to get back here and I've hunted for 45 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I remember that when I called you. So anyways, to make a long story short, we eventually found this deer. We've told that story on the podcast and it's like mid-October and Gabe and I are both the kind of guys that like if we tag out mid-October, it's kind of like, well, this is great, but what do we do the rest of the fall? Like we both want to hunt. We want to be in the woods. And I had a trip to Kansas planned about 3 weeks later or so, but even just that 3 weeks of not being in the woods, like that's starting to be the best time to be out there. I was going a little bit nuts. And so Gabe and I both had our own personal social medias. Mine was BC Squared Outdoors. Gabe's was at the time Beagle Boys, I think still, which has became Hunting with Tourette's now.
Yep.
Gabe has Tourette's, if you guys didn't know already.
And sorry, it slips.
And so I kind of came to him and I'm like, I got all these ideas in my head about hunting. I've got nobody really to share it with other than you and 1 or 2 other buddies. Like, let's start just like a stupid podcast where we talk about just dumb stuff that we both think about and like doesn't have to be serious. It can be funny. We'll talk about some serious stuff, I'm sure, but like just an after hours style podcast over a couple beers. And Gabe, I think you can probably you probably remember the story better than I do of kind of how we sat down and named everything and launched our first episode.
Yeah, I think we actually filmed an episode. No, it was right before we had filmed an episode, but your girlfriend was there, Ellie was here, and I couldn't even tell you some of the other names we had talked about. Like it was going to be like B&G Podcast or like the Ben and Gabe Show or something. And somewhere along the lines, we were like, Elliot asked like, okay, what's the point? And we're like, well, it's every time we hunt, like we want to recap the story and talk about what we learned, what we wish we would have done different, blah, 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 blah. Ben and I also have a little bit of a, crude personality. I don't want to say it like negatively, but we like to have fun. Like we're, young guys that have a sense of humor. And my wife also has a sense of humor, and so does Ben's girlfriend. And Ellie was like, how about post-hunt clarity? It's a play on post-nut clarity, but like post-hunt clarity. And we started talking about it. I was like, yeah, that's not bad, because the whole deal with, post-nut clarity is once you have it, like, your brain, like, you zero in and you're like, yes, I should have done that, or no, I should have, shouldn't have done that. Hunting's the same way, right? Like after a hunt, hindsight's always 20/20, right? You go into a hunt and a lot of it's hypothesis, like what's going on in your head. Am I making the right decisions? Well, it's not till the end of the day, once it's dark and you're walking back to the truck, where you're like, I should have done this. I wish I did this, or, hey, I did this and this is exactly what I needed to do. So the name stuck and it makes complete sense, because there's no moment more clear than after your hunt.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why we stuck with it more than like I said, at the time we started the podcast, it's like, oh, let's just do like funny stuff on the podcast. That'll probably get us more viewers than anything. But we really didn't pick the name because it was funny. It was like, it does make sense. And that's why we've stuck with it. So the first, 6 months, we were pretty consistent with it. Like we had times we were getting an episode out a week pretty consistently, I think.
Yeah, during season.
We didn't know what we were doing. We were using we weren't even on Apple and Spotify at first, and then we were trying to actually like sit down in Gabe's living room and film and put them on YouTube, and it was kind of like all over the place. Like at first it was when I still lived somewhere I could ice fish, so like in the winter it was like an ice fishing podcast almost as much as anything. And then we talk about Western hunting and like applying for states, and it was just a little all over the place. So then I moved in August of 2024, and we kind of talked again about like what's going to happen with it. We're like, well, we'll keep it going. We'll just do it remotely. And that's kind of what we've been doing since. But we hadn't been super consistent about it.
Yeah, I think we took like 6 months off or something like that. And like we'd have Google Meets, and like the audio and the quality video and everything would suck, but we still podcasted, every time something eventful would happen. It honestly became more prevalent after you and I would go on a hunt together, like that. The mule deer hunt, and then that was 25, but like you went on your Kansas trip. I shot a deer in November 1st that year on public, and it's like, okay, cool, we have something to talk about other than just kind of random BS stories.
Yep. I remember like there'd be times I'd be driving up for deer camp, and you'd just like call me on Microsoft Teams, and we'd do it that way. But so anyways, the whole point, I guess, is it really wasn't a serious thing for us. It was more of a creative outlet, but where we could at least like share some strategy and things like that. And so flash forward to December of 2025. It was around Christmas. I was at Christmas with my family, and I called you and was like, hey, I have this idea for what could be the next phase of post-hunt clarity. And do you remember kind of us talking through that? Like,
yeah,
just kind of what I came to you with. And
we're looking for one, I became a business owner in October of 2024, and it's just one of those where it opened up some freedom and stuff for me. And, Ben comes from a line of, people in his family that are business owners. So it's like the American dream comes into play here, right? Where everybody wants to do their own thing. They want to, whether it's be known for something, whether it's they want to leave behind a legacy, or whether they just want to have free time and open up something that you can be proud of. And that was kind of where I think you were at with that, was like, I'd love to be a business owner one day and figure out one way, like, what am I good at? What am I knowledgeable on? Well, the topic's hunting, right? So it's like, okay, how do we start a business in the hunting industry that doesn't fall in line and be cliche with everything that's out there?
Yeah. Well, and I've tried for years to think of like a business that I can start. Not that this is a business podcast, but there's just like so much out there that's been done, right? Which you don't always have to reinvent the wheel, but I finally came to you and felt like I had something that like hadn't been done before. And so I called Gabe and I was like, hey, we should build a platform for hunters, a membership style program where people can network. We have informational videos out there that like teach them everything they're missing in the hunting industry. Like we're raw, we're real. We aren't, people that are paid by XYZ company to push their product. And we really like teach people, help educate them, help them start hunting. But at the beginning, it was a really crude idea. Like I had all these things that we could build, right? You remember that? Like I had an idea for, I don't want to spoil all of them because some of them might still be different phases,
Still be good,
but
yeah.
like, yeah, like a gear selling marketplace and like all these things that you got access to as a member. And so you really helped me like sift through that of like, okay, here's what's like most, I don't even want to say achievable, but probably most desirable right now.
Yeah, and a lot of that stemmed from just I've worked professionally, like my day job in, even like my big contract right now is like I've worked in the hunting industry since I was 20 years old, and I've been the guy that, when I was 18, I was hoping, I want to be a famous YouTuber one day. And it just obviously didn't take, I didn't pick a niche. I didn't know what I was doing. So the next best option is, okay, well, how do I get to network and know like the people that I watch? And that was, let's get a professional job at marketing in the hunting industry. And so I've been doing that ever since. And at least it's given me a good perspective. I'm a little bit jaded by it now about all the people that are like, hey, sponsor me. I have a show, blah, blah, blah. Like I was able to chat with Ben a little bit and say, hey, if like all the people that like I partner with, everybody that you and I watch on the daily, like everybody's teaching you like once you have land, how to kill a big deer, how to kill a good deer. It's just like not even teaching it all, but just like showing like, hey, this is me. I shoot this. I'm good at this. But like nobody ever talks about how to start hunting. I think that's where we connected a little bit was you were taught by your dad, your grandpa, your family. I was the same way. And part of that's because we're from Wisconsin, where it's one of the, I would say, 3 or 4 states where it's still very culturally accepted to be a hunter, right? It's almost
Weird if you're not.
Yeah, I was going to say, and like a lot of out of the 50 states, I mean, there's 45 of those or 46 of those that don't have that type of culture,
right,
revolved around hunting.
Yep. And so to flash forward a little bit here, if you haven't seen what we've created over the last 8 months, not to not hold you in suspense, is we built a membership platform that if you are a brand new hunter, will teach you everything you need to know, literally starting with like, here are the first things you need to learn from start to finish. Like how to start hunting, but also how to start hunting successfully, what gear you need to buy, what happens after the shot, strategies, tactics, ethics, safety, where to hunt, everything like that. Then we built another same platform, but another lesson book or course, if you will, that teaches anybody. We initially kind of targeted what we would call an intermediate level hunter, somebody that's been hunting for 2 to 3 years, has a lot to learn still, and built like, obviously not starting with square one of how do you hunt, you're already doing that, but we really continued to piggyback off of the topics in the intro level course and dive into those further, really get into, what are thermals? How does access help? Other topics, strategies to pursue during different seasons of the year, deer behavior, all of those. And so what I can pretty confidently say now is I've watched both courses in totality, every minute of all 34 videos. And I really feel that anybody who feels like there's anything missing in their hunting knowledge or isn't having success year over year that they feel they should be having is going to get a lot out of this. It's not just the 2 to 3 year hunter. It could be somebody that's hunted for 20 years, but, might only get out 4 or 5 times a season and just feels like they're missing something, or really just anybody who wants to keep learning is where we're at now. And Gabe and I only have plans to expand this and just keep adding video content. But we've built well over 8 hours of video content into this so far. So then talk about stage 2, I guess. You're the guy with the network. So maybe you touch on what the other benefit to our members is then.
Yeah. So my biggest philosophy in life, and this is whether you're hunting or this is just personally, like networking is key if you want to get somewhere. So one of the other things that we thought would be super beneficial is, I'm going to backtrack here just a little bit. We use the word course because there is course content in here, but it is a membership. And with everything involved with that, right? Like in 2026, 2025, whenever you're watching this down the road, there are wraps out there for courses where people build something, they sell it for a crazy expensive amount. And a good chunk of people, like 75% or plus, will take that and feel like they wasted money. And that was one thing that Ben and I really went back and forth trying to figure out when we were building this, is that my face is attached to it. I work in the hunting industry. I have a personal reputation. He's got a personal reputation. Like, we did not want to be the guys that are like, get rich quick, sell this thing, and then have a bad name for ourselves. Like, we truly wanted this to be of value to people. Like, okay, we put together a course content for what we want to charge for it. Is it, will people say it's worth the money? Well, you know what? Let's make this thing feature rich. So what else did we do? Let's provide some networking opportunities, because in my opinion, there's not a whole lot that's more valuable than being able to network with like-minded people that are also trying to learn. They're people on your skill level. There could be people that have more skills than you, and it's even more of a benefit for you to get to know them. A judgment-free zone for hunters to ask questions. And that's also stemmed from what's out there. Like, there's all these different hunting groups, whether it's a rock slide forum, or it's a, mobile hunter Facebook group, or whatever it is, where a new hunter will go in and have a genuine question. And all these veterans that have been hunting for 20 years will be like, what are you, stupid? Like, everybody knows that. Or, you're not supposed to do that. Like, what are you, dumb? And it really ruins it for people that are legitimately like, it's a serious question because they don't know the answer. And we're trying to build another place where, like, there's no dumb questions. Ask away. Like, Ben and I might laugh and be like, that's kind of funny, but we get it, right? You guys and people in this membership are people that want to learn, people that truly want experience, and they want help, and in the industry is a little bit cutthroat, where it's not necessarily designed to help you.
Yeah.
So,
well, and learning anything, whether it's a sport, something like hunting, cooking, like anything, like having other people you can not only ask questions to and continue to learn with, but also share your wins or your pain points with, will help get you as far as anything. So that was phase 2, was to build something like that. And then phase 3 was, I don't want to say the biggest benefit, because I really, as someone who values hunting a lot and want to hunt as successfully as I can, think it's the educational side of it. But what I think to consumers is the most intriguing is the preferred partner network that we have. And so what Gabe and I did is we were able to successfully partner with 19 companies to get exclusive discounts for our members. And what I mean by that is and Gabe, you deal with this on a day-to-day basis, so chime in with your thoughts if I miss anything here. But in the hunting industry in particular, and just in a lot of industries in 2026, affiliate marketing is huge. And so if you're not familiar with that, the way that works is it's, hey, I'm a creator, give me a 10% discount to your product, and in return, I'll promote it and you pay me a 10% commission on anything I sell, or whatever the commission discount split is, right? And so there's a lot of that in the hunting industry where, you can go onto any creator's bio on their Instagram or into their videos, whatever it might be, and use this code to save 10 or 15%. This is not that. This is something where we went out and were able to partner with all of these companies to get an exclusive, can't find it anywhere else on the market discount to actually save people money on gear. The biggest thing that holds people back when it comes to hunting are education and the money they spend getting into it. And for anybody who's new to hunting or looking to hunt more successfully, there's probably going to be gear you have to buy. And so to be able to purchase an annual membership, but then save as much or more than what you are going to spend on that membership is of huge value to people, and something I would strongly encourage you to look at if you're getting into hunting, if you are thinking about getting into hunting, or even if you're just a gear junkie, right? Like, I spend a lot of money on gear every year, and just a place where even if I got nothing out of the educational side of it, just discounts to 19 different brands would save me a lot of money.
Yeah. And like I said, the whole point goes back to when we first chatted, is for this to be successful and be something long-term, like it has to have some sort of renewal to it, where it's not just people sign up once and then they leave. Like, we're trying to build something where people continue year after year to find value out of it. So we're like, okay, education covered, networking, other bonus resources is what we call it, where there's some, I won't dive into details, but little tips and tricks that like have worked for Ben and I to gain access to hunt places, or like secrets to talking to brands and other stuff. Like, that's in there. And then the third thing is gear is expensive. So let's make this a place where you buy the membership, but anybody that uses the membership and uses these discounts will, I don't want to quote that you'll basically pay for the course, but you're probably going to pay for it and then also end up saving more money on top of it. So with all three of those things combined, we looked at each other. We're like, okay, I think we truly packed this to the point where it's almost a no-brainer. And it doesn't matter whether you're brand new or whether you've hunted for 35 years. Like, there is something of value in here where at the end of the day that you'll tell your friends and family, if they're like, what do you think about this post-hunt clarity thing? Is it worth the money? That there shouldn't be anybody that says no, like, I don't think it's worth the money. It should just be a straight wall yes, because in any way, shape, or form that I think it's going to be worth it for everybody. And once we accomplish that, I think that's where Ben and I were like, okay, let's really grind at getting this thing finalized and get it out there, because there's just nothing like that exists.
Yeah. And Gabe and I are still learning too, and taking things as they come. But I think as we, to that point, like this is also the point we're at now, it is 100% more value than what you're going to spend on it. Like, you're going to get way more out of it than what you spent, but we're also only going to continue to grow this. Like, right now we have 34 videos in the lessons side of things. Well, that's only going to continue to grow. Gabe and I have ideas on mini series we want to do on certain topics that we can delve into. And, the partner list is only going to continue to grow. I mean, we've already turned down companies that are just things that, again, Gabe and I are not sellouts with this at all. We're super proud of what we've built. Like, we've turned down some companies that just aren't what we believe in, or we don't really think is of value, or just doesn't fit with what we're trying to do. But that list is already going to continue to grow. We've got a 20th in the works, I think, right now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gabe, but just what we're trying to do is super cool. And we're really just trying to build a place that helps people get into hunting, helps people have more fun, and helps them be more successful, whether that's financially, harvesting more deer, meeting new people, whatever it might be, all three, whatever it might be.
And back to the discounts, like, it wasn't just random, like, oh, we like this brand, we like this brand. Like, there was some intelligence behind it of like the brands we went with. One, we've either used them or have high respect for them in the industry, or they're great for what I believe our market is going to be. But the other side of that is just, I guess I don't really know how to explain where I was going with that. I had a thought in my head and I lost it.
That
it fills categories, specific categories.
Categorized by every, so it's not just like, hey, we have 5 trail cameras in there. It's, we have trail cameras, we have tree stands, we have clothing, we have mobile hunting, we have a bow brand, we have another networking opportunity in there, we have broadheads, we have accessories like phone chargers and generators, solar panels, things like that people might want while they're hunting, boots, cutlery, game calls. Like, there's that's just to name a few, even optics. I mean, I can go through the list is on our site of everything, and you can see it before you purchase Post-Hunt Clarity of everything that you get access to. But it is really, like, not to, obviously this is our podcast, so we can say whatever we want, but not even to toot our own horns. Like, I'm very proud of the list we have built.
Yeah, between that and everything that we've done, like, this is something that I'm excited to hang my hat on. And a lot of this comes from, I say this all the time, just by being a little bit jaded by the hunting industry. I watch companies, grow. They sell shit to people that they don't need. They're all about making money. Like, there's very few companies that actually care about watching the sport of hunting continue to grow, watching it get passed down from generations. Like, it's corporate America. Like, you get it, right? That's the point of capitalism, right? Some people take advantage of it. Other people are in it. And Ben and I, of course, we're looking to make this hopefully potentially a full-time thing one day, but like, our goal is to build something that people find value in and that actually helps the next generation of hunters. Because we've talked about this, the average age of bow hunting right now is like 50 years old, right? Well, Ben and I are both in our mid-20s right now. I'm in my late 20s now, but that sucks to say. I was going to say that kind of sucks to say, but it's the days of, hey, 10 years old, I'm taking my kid hunting, like they're slowly just going away and going away. And it's still going to exist in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan and states like that for a little while longer. But there are places all over the US where you go, and when you tell somebody you like to hunt, people are like, what is that? Like, why do you do that? And it's 50 years ago or even 100 years ago, like people had to hunt. I hear this from everybody. We did that podcast with Justin. He was like, yeah, when I was growing up, like you had to hunt.
Yeah.
There's things out there that exist where, you know, you don't necessarily have to hunt, but it's also a tradition and there's a respect for conservation. So it's not just killing animals, you know, for the sport of it. There's a whole biology and ecology stuff that goes along with this of like practicing conservation and making sure populations are in control and making sure that things are done ethically, which is a huge topic in our course that nobody ever talks about. People just tell you how they kill shit, and you'll watch videos of like how they're harvesting animals. There are some rules and there are some ethics and some stuff that you guys should follow, because there's a giant group of people out there that definitely don't want to see hunting continue.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
and it's to that point, it really is weird. And I probably am at both extreme ends of the spectrum here growing up in Wisconsin, where, like you said, it's almost weird if people don't hunt and then moving to a city where just like, I mean, even 40 years ago, a lot of people in a city didn't hunt. But we were with some friends this weekend and they were asking me, like, every time hunting comes up, they ask me a lot of questions about it because they just don't know. And they were saying, and I'm considering doing it, me starting like a TikTok series of like asking my non-hunting friends hunting related questions.
Yeah, that would be
you
good.
know, and but it really is crazy to me, like how extreme, you know, both ends of those spectrum are. And yeah. So I think a couple other things I want to touch on here is we built this in an extremely easy to digest format. And so the topics build on each other. They do get pretty deep, but they're very, very digestible. And what I mean by that is, like I said, anybody really is our target audience here that wants to start hunting, has hunted, and wants to be more successful, or just wants to keep learning, right? Regardless of the level you're at. But this is perfect for even a 65, 70-year-old who just retired and wants to check hunting off the bucket list, or has more time to finally do it now and wants to do a better job at it. This is perfect for, you know, I think of a single mom with a 13 or 14-year-old kid that comes to them and says, I want to start hunting, or I want to learn a little bit more about this, and they have no clue where to start. Great gift idea, like really anybody in between those two examples I just gave. But it's an annual membership, so you pay annually. Everything we do is web-based. So if you go to our website, www.posthuntclarity.com, you can purchase your membership. From there, you'll be prompted to create a login. Once you've purchased, you go right into our paywalled member site where you have access to all of the videos. You'll have access anytime a new video is uploaded. You'll have access to all of the discount codes right away. You'll have the link to be able to join our private networking group, all of the member resources, all of that will be given to you as soon as you purchase your annual membership. So today is July 27th. Gabe, when do you think we'll get this out? Wednesday?
This is going to be Wednesday or Thursday for sure.
So. Wednesday or Thursday. So either the 29th or 30th, this will launch. We are launching August 1st. And to celebrate our launch, we are giving our first 100 members 50% off. Now, Gabe and I can sit here and tell you a lot of different ways. We don't know exactly how this is going to go, but one thing I can confidently tell you is Post Hunt Clarity is never going to be as cheap as it is during our initial launch again. So take advantage of that 50% off. Do not miss out on that. Again, that's going to be our first 100 members at www.posthuntclarity.com.
Yeah, I'm excited. This has been, a long time coming for Ben and I. So this has been consuming our brains the last 8 months of our lives. And we're just going to keep building on this thing. I mean, the more value that we can stack in here, and as we get members in and people are completing the courses and we get asked questions about, hey, like, what's your thoughts on topics like this or whatever, like, it's going to drive us going forward. And we'll obviously balance out like what we talk about on the podcast and then what we do inside the course, but there'll be just so much more to come. And just like to connect with people, right? Like I wish when I was like 13 or 14 years old, I had other people to chat to about like hunting other than just my dad and stuff. Like I learned a lot from my dad, but there's also a benefit to, you don't have to get all your resources from just one place, right? Learn something here, learn something there. And we blended a lot of that information into the course of like, this is how we do it. A lot of it's factual. A lot of it's just Ben and I talking through experience. I mean, there's 30 years of hunting experience combined between Ben and I. A lot of harvests, a lot of deer, multiple states hunted, multiple terrains hunted. Like, we basically just poured out our entire brains into this and tried to make this as...
That's a good point, is like, I think of one thing we haven't really talked about is like the people that did grow up hunting with somebody, a dad, an uncle, a grandpa, whatever it might be, like you and I did. Like, I had my dad, my uncle, my grandpa, everybody to teach me how to hunt. And I learned a lot faster than a lot of people do because of that. But I still, what was I just telling you the other week about when I grew up and hunting?
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have known how easy it is to go hunt public land around me. And I wish I would have known some of these topics. It would have streamlined my learning curve a lot more, even than having somebody that knew it did. So again, for anybody even that does have those resources, like a community you can talk to, different perspectives you can learn, like, it is only going to help you just have more and more success in the woods. So yeah, that's what we've built. It's been 8 months of basically having a second part to full-time job that I haven't got paid $1 for.
Yeah, so we've been really investing our time, but that was the other thing that we had chatted about, is that, you know what, if for some reason it doesn't go the way we thought, we had fun doing it. There's zero regrets, and it's at least helped Ben and I connect a lot more while we live 12 hours apart. So,
yep.
But other than that, there's more stuff coming. You guys are going to be watching this Thursday. Stay tuned for Saturday morning. As we launch, there's going to be some really cool stuff. So stay on your phones. Make sure you're following Post Hunt Clarity. There might be some free stuff getting given away, and you'll get details on that. And then other opportunities, as if you guys are watching this podcast and you've been watching the podcast, just another reason to join PHC, because another benefit to members is at random, some points throughout the years, we'll be taking PHC members and giving them a spot as a guest on the podcast so we can hear about their story, take some questions, give some advice, or maybe it's somebody that has something we want to learn. So stay tuned, and we'll see you post-launch.